21 years for Spurs.
Yeah, we know that.
Winning one League Cup is not enough.
We know that. And in 18 years, Arsenal have won 2 or 3 FA Cups, and people could make the argument that Arsenal have underachieved. But there's only three teams that have achieved, Graham. 3 teams that have achieved in a quarter of a decade, which is Manchester City, Manchester United, and Chelsea, and they are all the guys with the biggest checkbook. So you're going to bring Tottenham in there that haven't won the league for 60 years and say they're a big club.
Daniel Levy is obviously your friend. Please open the phone lines up and get some supporters on here. Ask them a simple question.
No one is disputing.
Is one League Cup in 21 years
no one is disputing that.
Good enough for
us? They would say no, it's not.
But no one's disputing that. But what you're doing is you're painting a picture in the same way that segments of the media painted a picture this time last year, in January this year. Conte's going to be out the door. He's not going to be backed. He's going to be away. He's going to fall out of Daniel Levy. None of that's happened. He's been given £200 million in transfers. Does he need more? Yes. But is there any indication whatsoever that there's going to be a conflict between Levy and Antonio Conte? Because you don't bring these big boys in, you don't bring Conte in, you don't bring Mourinho in and expect them to do nothing other than what they're told. That's not what you do. And Daniel Levy may be many things, and I had many issues with Daniel, and I saw many things differently, and had real issues with him and how he handled some of my players and how he did things to my football club that I wasn't particularly happy with my players. So they've got nothing to do with allegiance. It's calling it differently to what you do. What you do is you sit in a camp and say all the genius, all the intellectual capital in a football club comes from one source, and it's not. It's a sum of all its parts. It's a sum of all its parts.
What a load of old waffle. I said quite simply, Spurs in 21 years under the stewardship of Daniel Levy have won one League Cup. If you go back to Conte at Chelsea, won the Premier League, everything's rosy in the garden. He somehow manages to fall out there, because I would assume, or again, my sources, Jim, not your sources, slightly better. I would.
Okay, I'm sure.
He wanted a bigger say in who came and who went from the football club. And I would imagine that if he is about to sign a new contract,
there's a lot of assumption and imagining going on.
If he is about to extend it, he'll want a bigger say in what's going on at Spurs.
And that's fine.
And I think that's a good thing.
And that's a reasonable assumption, right? But that's got nothing to do with a power struggle. You're creating a narrative that there's going to be a difficulty in a relationship going forward between Daniel Levy and Antonio Conte, because, first of all, Antonio Conte doesn't spend a lot of money. Go look at his record. Go look at what he spends to build teams against the actual net achievements he's got, because he's actually got a really good bang for his buck. Right? So that's why they'll keep him. So that's why there probably isn't going to be this so-called power struggle that you're alluding to, because you're building a narrative on the back of the fact that Daniel Levy, and I have no reason to defend him, I'm just giving you an alternate view.
I am saying Conte is your man. Stick with him. Listen to him, because winning one trophy in 21 years ain't enough for a Spurs supporter.
Do you think Levy will listen to him this time around in January?
I don't know Daniel Levy.
And that's fine, Graham, but what are you basing it upon? Because Tottenham have won 3 FA Cups in 60 years. So what are you basing this principle on? And who are you basing it on against, right? You're basing it against what Chelsea are going to spend, or against what Man United and what's Man City are going to spend.
If you're a manager,
it's a silly argument.
Would you keep your job at a big football club if you had won one League Cup in 21 years?
Depends.
You get rid of them every 6 months.
Depends upon. Well, it doesn't add up, does it? If I've been there for 120 months and had 8 managers, it's actually 15 months.
Slight exaggeration, which we don't do very often on this programme much. But I think 8 managers in 10 years would suggest that you didn't tolerate your managers very well.
Well, that's got nothing to do
with Daniel Levy has got rid of manager after manager. Why is he still in post if he won one trophy in 21 years?
Because it depends upon what. Again, I'll give you the example. Would you expect Tottenham? And I'm not defending Daniel Levy. Don't get
you very much.
No, I'm not. I'm giving you an alternate view.
Okay.
Where would you expect Tottenham to have won over Manchester City's spend, over Manchester United's spend? 23 years we're talking about, right? Daniel Levy, you've written in your column. Or maybe you didn't. 21 years he's been in situ, right? So in that time, you've seen the ascension of Manchester City, and in the enormous spend of Man City, the enormous spend of Chelsea, and you and I both know that's an out-of-kilter spend that's not based upon football generation. Then you've got Man United. So where would Tottenham have fitted into that equation? Because Arsenal can't keep up with them either.
Forget Man City. Man City is a relatively new thing.
But these are the guys. That's 14 years.
As we hit this break, you still sense a power struggle looming at Tottenham.
I hope they stick with Conte. I think he's a real deal. I know that Conte will be pushing, wanting more and better quality players.
Right.
The term power struggle, indifferences. I want this, you can't have that. I do want that, you can't have this. That will definitely take place, and that is healthy for a football club.
Hence a power struggle.